Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Automotive Axles Limited investor call organized by Batliwala and Karani Securities India Private Limited. At this moment, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question and answer session. At that time, if you have a question, please press star 1. Please note this conference is recorded. I would now like to turn the conference over to Mr. Sailesh Raja. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Pranali. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for Automotive Axles Limited first quarter of FY22 earnings conference call. During this call, from the management side, we'll be hearing from Mr. Timaya, MD and CEO of Meritor India, Mr. N. Muthukumar, COO of Meritor India, and Mr. Ranganathan S., CFO Automotive Axles. I would now like to turn the call to Mr. Timaya for the opening remarks, followed by Q&A. Sir, you may begin now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sailesh Raja. This is Timaya. So I will just talk on the slide 3 if you have to start with. First of all, welcome to all of you. It's a pleasure to talk to you today with my team and give an update on the company and the market, and if any other questions you have. I want to give you a quick update on the COVID situation in our company and what we have done, which is slide number 3, and then I'll hand it over to Ranganathan to take the slide 2 and then proceed. So, all the protocols, whatever, most of the companies are doing, we are all following that. And one good thing, I want to inform is, other than the curfew period, the complete lockdown, whether it is wave 1 or wave 2, other than the curfew period, our company and our offices were fully operational all along. And we are, not doing any work from home concept, again, other than those curfew period. All our employees, both factory and officers, are coming to the office with all the protocols maintained all through the pandemic and the months, and we are fortunate that we are able to sail through at least at this point of time. As of now, we are 95% of our employees are vaccinated, at least 1 dose vaccinated, and more than 50% are 2 dose vaccinated, and within next maybe a month or so, 95% of our employees will be 2 dose vaccinated. So that way we are doing good in vaccinating our employees and their families. In terms of the CSR activity during the COVID, we have set up a 86-bed facility in Mysore, specifically for the COVID treatment with the government of Karnataka and the district administration. And this bed is 100%, all the 86 beds are oxygenated beds, and we came to a really big help in the city of Mysore. We have also donated 2 mobile testing laboratories again to the government. These lab on wheels are going around in the rural area and providing the testing facility mainly for the rural people, which is regarded as a very good initiative from the government and also from the general public. We have also donated around 3 crores to the PM CARE Fund, and we are donating 1 oxygen generating plant to one of the hospitals in one of the town nearby Mysore. All in all, I think we are trying our level best to see that how to protect our employees as well as do our bit into the society as well. With that, I will hand over to Ranganathan to take on the overall snapshot of the company.
Thank you, Timaya. The next slide is about the standard slide, what we generally have, the segment, what we sell, the tractor, trailer, bus, off-highway, military, and aftermarket, and also the customers, what we sell, that continue to be the same. We continue to penetrate with the customers and try to see our presence improved day by day. So there's a standard slide. So I go to the next slide. Again, this is more about the product range, what we have. It's also been presented in the previous investor calls also. Light commercial vehicles to the extra heavy vehicle up to 55 tonner, we have the product range both for brakes as well as in terms of axles. So with this, I give it to Mr. Muthukumar, take over the automation side on the plant.
Thank you, Ranga. Good afternoon, everyone. The technology is fast changing, and your factory or your company is also working on making our company Industry 4.0 enabled. The new facility that we have created on our final assembly line is already Industry 4.0 enabled and capable. All the management information systems, the manufacturing systems, the Poka-yoke, and including the traceability and real-time monitoring is happening in the plant. A separate plant has been set, and that's producing, which is substantially helping the organization in transforming the zero defects towards zero defects and working with all the OEMs. You could see that the company is also working on a digitalization of 4.0 on the different assembly lines that we have to ensure that our products are highly reliable and defect-free to the OEM, whether it is in line with the disk case assembly line or pinion assembly line, which is basically the manufacturing. Going into 4.0 is our vision, and the company is working on next 2 to 3 years horizon to make sure that the entire plant, which is 40-year-old plant, into a Industry 4.0. Having said that, the company has also invested in terms of the technology initiative. Next slide, I'm talking about the welding, which is one of the fundamentals of our core manufacturing. What we are doing in Axle is getting into a lot of technology initiatives like TASK system, which is a torch-assisted seam tracking system to ensure that there is no defects on the welding. In fact, we have introduced a lot of twin turret machines with the high-speed cutting, which will improve substantially the product costing and, of course, the rate in which we produce. The gear manufacturing has a closed-loop gear manufacturing system. Gear is basically a heart of the entire axle, and we have introduced a new generation gear cutting system into our organization. Of course, as I told you earlier, the assembly line is what we are making it with the mistake proofing in all the operations, creating a visualization, the data acquisition, traceability, and migrating ourselves to 4.0. I think these are the key initiatives the company has taken up to move it to the next level. With that, I'll hand it back to Ranga.
Very good afternoon again, all of you. A quick snapshot of the performance of the last quarter. Last quarter, our revenue was around 256 crores. We have grown close to about 523% compared to last quarter the same year. Largely, the first quarter of last year, all of you know that we have entire country was locked down because of the COVID. So EBITDA, we stood at this quarter 6.5%. Again, year on year is probably not a full-fledged comparison, but still the EBITDA 6.5%, 123% improvement. PBT stood at 3% and 105% improvement over the last year, the same period. So by and large, the margins and the revenues we are focusing to grow, and so alongside the growth on the top line, will ensure will also the margins also will have some potential to grow. With that, I go to the next slide. It's again we presented earlier. I think broadly we have the business strategy more towards improving our revenue and share of business with the customer. That initiative is still working on with all customers. And this has been basically driven with the value product what we give to the customers with the new products, and our continuous focus on Industry 4.0 and other manufacturing process automation, which just Muthu has explained. So these are this is actually the two aspects is about the operation excellence and the grow the business. The two major business strategies we are driving through the automations in the manufacturing processes. Costs continue to be a key focus on us, which are one of the key drivers for our margins. We continue to focus both on the operational costs, basically the material conversion and the fixed cost expenses. We continue to drive that, and though there are temporary challenges around it because the fluctuating market demand, but nevertheless we would be definitely come back when the market improves on it. But our focus and very, very focused approach towards these parameters of cost reduction is continued. We'll continue to do that in the future also. Safety practices, one of the key elements is about employee safety. So as Timaya has explained, the initial case, the COVID case, what are the measures we are taking it? We continue to focus on it in the edge of third wave. We are going to have an impact on that, but we are completely prepared and ensure that employee and society at large is well protected. Over and above that, operational process safety is one of the key measures. We are managing it and ensure that employees are completely given an employee with a complete safe working environment for all the employees in the organization. And the last slide is basically an outlook from 2013-14 till now how we have grown. As you say that in the last 1920 and 2021 the revenue was little flipped, and if you really see the market as of now, 2021 we have 197,000 vehicle production as far as the MHCV is concerned, and this year the expectation is close to around 240,000 vehicles as far as 21-22 is concerned. Hopefully our agenda, our objective is always to grow the business slightly ahead of the market. So our focus will be continuously focused on the growth of business that will be there. So with our strategic initiatives of grow revenue, enhance profitability, and win the new businesses through operational excellence and customer value. So that definitely will be our core strategy. So with this, the presentation is completed. We'll open to the question and answer.
Certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. If you have a question, please press star 1 on your phone and await your turn to ask the question when guided by me. If your question has been answered before your turn and you wish to withdraw your request, you may do so by pressing star and 1 again. We have first question from Mr. Rohit Suresh from Samatva Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. I just had one question. I just wanted to know the wallet share that your company has for Ashok Leyland electric buses versus the normal IC buses. If you could provide me some details on that.
Yeah. Hi, Rohit. This is Timaya. Compared to the IC buses and the electric buses, the volume percentage overall India market as well as with Ashok Leyland is very, very small. During the pandemic, of course, the bus market is not doing well overall. But in that, if you see that Ashok Leyland is producing in the buses in hundreds, not much, right, in a year. So it is not a right comparison that way. But that said, we are very well positioned in Ashok Leyland's electrical bus product. So the most of the buses what they are supplying, which is electric buses, is with our axle.
Okay. Great, sir. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. We have next question from Mr. Sunil Kothari from Unique Investment Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for opportunity. Thanks, sir. Sir, my question is on the way you talk about productivity improvement, cost reduction. We continuously working on material cost lowering and all these things. So would you like to talk some quantitative things, maybe over 2-3 years, what type of cost reduction we are targeting, something in terms of margin? That will be really helpful.
Yeah, okay. So maybe Ranga also can add up, and Muthu also can add. But I'll just tell you, Kothari ji,
yes, sir.
If you see a quarterly performance or an last yearly performance, even though we have gone through a significant downturn and a pandemic, the market, if you really see the market, last year the market went down. Last 2 years, the market is not even at around 50% level, right? Compared to the peak. And even in that kind of a market where the market fell by 50%, we are able to continue to show decent profitability, and that's only coming because of the cost reduction activities we are doing. And also this will continue to be so, and we will continue to do the cost reduction activities. Why we are little hesitant to put a number and tell is I give you our story or the concept of our cost reduction. Our cost reduction runs into, mainly on the work streams. The work streams includes, one is engineering cost reduction, which means we redesign our product to reduce the cost. Second is sourcing. We come all the way. We will ongoing basis, we optimize our sourcing activities in finding alternate source, working with the supplier to do a value engineering along with the suppliers. The third is operational cost itself, which is mainly the productivity improvement from the manufacturing setup. The fourth is mainly the logistic cost reduction. These are the 4 areas of cost reduction. We continue to work. There is a dedicated team working on this. We do every other month, we do a brainstorming session to generate ideas, and we run through a very systematic IL, we call idea implementation process, 1 to stage 5, and take every idea through that. Why I'm little bit elaborating on this is we have a process to do it. But unfortunately, we can't put a number and say that, okay, because of the cost reduction, this is what is going to happen to the profitability. There are a couple of reasons. Number one, the commodity, the fluctuation. You all know how volatile the commodity market is. Even though we have, back-to-back arrangement with the customers, but when the commodity prices goes up, that will have an impact on our profitability. Even though the 100% recovery happens from the customer, but percentage term, there is a drop happens because of when the commodity goes up. That's not in our control. And we have to absorb that and ensure that we, even with that problem, we continue to demonstrate our good profitability performance. The second is at some point of time, on some cases, when we do an engineering cost reduction activity, some of them we have to pass it on to the customer. There are 2 reasons why we do it. One is we also want our customer to be successful, so we pass it on and see how can we enable them to penetrate into the market, like mainly Ashok Leyland and other customers. And the second thing is, they will also insist that when we do an engineering cost reduction, that some of the savings should be passed on. So this is an ongoing, negotiation and discussion we have. There is no fixed, policy here. It's all based on the negotiation. It happens. That is why we can't put a finger and say that, okay, we will. This is what we will expand the margin because of the cost reduction. On top of it, the market is also so volatile, that will also have its inheritance, a little bit of cost problem. The only thing I would tell you is, you see that we are operating at around not even 50% capacity utilization. And I say last quarter, if you see 256 crores is, less than 40% capacity utilization. Even at 40% capacity utilization, we are able to demonstrate a 6.5% EBITDA. That is our strength. And again, I can't give you a number, but you can imagine if this 250 crores a quarter, there is a very high possibility that can go to 500 crores a quarter, right? Because of all the, once this pandemic is over and economic activities restarts and, all those happens. And we have done 500 a quarter during 18-19, and I'm very confident that it is just a matter of maybe a year or so, it will come back to that level. And you can see that when that happens, we will see the lot of benefit of cost reduction and all the our break-even reduction activity, what we have done is going to show significant benefit into the bottom line. This is a long answer, Kotariji, but I thought that
very, very useful, sir.
It is important to understand the process we are adopting and what is the inheritance complications in the process, because of the commodity and also freight rates and also some of the things need to be passed on to the customer. But our endeavor is how can we continue to expand our margin. We want to grow faster than the market. Market is not under our control, but we want to grow faster than the market and also continue to expand the margin.
Very, very, very detailed and very useful, satisfactory answer, sir. So what I understood is these efforts we will be sharing with our customer, but definitely we will also be benefited by expansion in margin over a steady state of business and at a higher capacity utilization. Right. And sir, my next point is related to this only. We are marketing and sales are done by our parents JV with Kalyani, Meritor, VHS or what name I may not be taking correctly. So what is our terms and conditions with them? This is a cost plus method, or we decide the price for the customer? How it works? If you can little bit explain in detail this tie-up with our marketing joint venture.
Yeah, this is not the cost plus model. It is based on the end market pricing. There is a discussion happens between the two companies, and to ensure and derive at a right product pricing, which means Automotive Axle discusses with the MHSVL and decide the product pricing. They do an offer to the MHSVL and decide the product pricing based on the end market price and all those things.
Okay. So whatever customer pays, that is decided by between HVS and customer, not between Automotive Axle and customer.
No, this is also a little bit of involvement is there, because see, whenever the customer pricing is decided, MHS will go and do a pricing. It is important for them to understand the cost structure also, otherwise they don't know how much to shoot on. So it is like end pricing is like a bi-party kind of an arrangement to say that, okay, what is the best price we can offer to win the business, and then they work backwards to really see that what should be the cost we should drive towards. So that's how we do it.
So, sorry for my repetition, but very plain and straight question is, are we getting benefited by all the efforts we are taking, or it's a cost plus some method and we deliver this product to JV and they sell it to customers? So are we getting benefits of all these efforts we are taking, and may not be now, but over a period it will be reflected in numbers? That is my question. Or this marketing joint venture they will have more benefits of our efforts? That is my very straight question.
No, I will also probably give you a straight answer. Very clearly, all the cost reduction and any activity which is derived to reduce the cost, that majority of the benefit is going to sit in Automotive Axle.
Okay.
Because they are the one they are working on it, and they are the one they are reducing it. So most of the benefit will be sitting in Automotive Axle.
All right, sir. And just last question is, last year we have changed one methodology of reimbursement getting from our this joint venture entity regarding freight cost. Previously we were getting reimbursement from VHS, but I think last year we haven't taken those reimbursement. So is there any policy change, and are we reasonably compensated for those costs additional which we borne?
Ranga, you want to answer that?
I take this question. I take this question, Mr. Kothari. Till 1920, the cost to cost we're getting reimbursement. And it's in 2021, it comes as part of the pricing itself. So the costs are booked at the gross value of the respective expense line items, and it is completely come in the part of revenue. So that's the reason. That's the only change you can see in 1920 and 2021.
Okay. So the product price has been reasonably compensated with the cost of. Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. Wish you good luck. Yes, sir.
It's just a representation. In a different little line items have changed. That's it.
Correct. Great, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kothari. Before taking next question, participants are requested to press star and 1 to ask questions. We have next in queue Mr. Khush Gosrani from InCred AMC. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, good evening. Sir, recently Ashok Leyland has announced a deal with Dana, where Dana has been selected as a preferred supplier for their electric drivetrain components for EV bus and EV vehicles, EV LCVs. So how will this affect us and our EV strategy, and will it impact our order book with Ashok Leyland?
The straight answer is no. The reason is, Ashok Leyland is actually the Switch Mobility, which is a different company. they have had a arrangement with Dana in terms of electrical item. Mainly what we believe is based on our interaction, Dana is also into electric motor manufacturing, etc. So, that is related to those. And axle perspective, we have a very good understanding and agreement with Ashok Leyland that what axles will go to which application. And I think we are protected from the axle perspective.
Okay. That's reassuring. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Khush.
All the best.
We have next question from Mr. Yash Mandavewala from Mandavewala Family Office. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hi, sir. Thanks for taking my question. Can you just elaborate a bit on the growth levels that the company has that are mentioned on slide 10? So what exactly are the new business wins and opportunities that we are talking about? And can you also talk a bit more about, what are the new products that are under development?
The number one is, we are developing the brakes and also axles, which are not part of our current portfolio. We have developed and we are applicating it on the ICV and medium duty segment, intermittent commercial vehicle segment and medium duty vehicle segment. That's one way we are penetrating. The second is we are developing a medium duty hub reduction axle. That's the new product which is going to come in the market. The third important new product development what we are doing is, most of the OEMs are now looking at upgrading their axle portfolio into the higher performing axles. For example, I'll give you in our nomenclature, one of the application which used to use our 160, which is the highest at this point of time, biggest axle at this point of time, the engine is getting upgraded and they are going for a higher horsepower engine. With that, we are talking to them to also upgrade the axle from 160 to 185, which is one size bigger. At this point of time, that's not exist in the Indian market, and we have already bought that axle in the sense from our global stable to India localized it. So that's the other area we will penetrate with higher size of the axle. That said, we are working on many new activities. Number one is our off-highway and military segment. We are considering that as a new vertical, and we are developing new products either for dump trucks, TLBs, wheel loaders, RT cranes. So these are one area we have identified as our growth area, mainly on the off-highway side. The other is on the military side. Multi-axle military applications is the other growth area we are working on. And then also on top of it, we are evaluating few other product lines. I can't give the names at this point of time. At least 3-4 new product lines we are evaluating, and also it's going through various levels of feasibility study, and you will see in the coming maybe a year or so, some of them will get startup production level. And one thing I would mention is we are also working on providing a IoT solution for the axles and brakes. That's going to be one of the offering we are going to do very soon, which means that on the brake side and axle side, we are going to provide sensors and an IoT solution for ease of maintenance, and also to ensure that the right time the preventive maintenance of the vehicle, mainly for our product, happens.
Got it. Just 2 follow-up questions on that. So as a result of this, how much is our content per vehicle going to increase? That is number one. And for the military application products that we are working on, how far away are we from launching that, and how far away are we from seeing revenue from those items?
Muthu, you want to answer on the military thing?
Yes, Timaya, thank you very much. In terms of military, your company is working mainly with Ashok Leyland as a customer, and at this point of time, there are 8 different platforms wherein our axles have been tested, approved by the defense. there is a visibility of the schedule that has been given between 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and we are progressing as this. For example, whatever Mr. Timaya was telling you, the last 3 years of efforts is what we have put in to get this product approved by the defense. And today, our axles are approved in those products, which is mainly a multi-axle and vehicles that are exported from India to countries like Africa, where our axles will go in. I can't name the a model of the vehicle, but these are the platforms that we are working with.
Got it. And so on the content per vehicle, not for military, but for the axles and the brakes that we are working on for the current business?
So the content-wise, at this point of time, only the upgradation of the vehicle level, what is happening, which is a little increase or improvement in the overall, percentage or a content. It's not because we are not launched any new products outside of axles and brakes to improve the content. At this point of time, it's only because of our higher axles what we are launching, and that is what is giving us an incremental content, which is maybe 3-4% more than what we are doing.
Got it. So, and are there any levers to increase our market share on the axle side? Have we been able to, crack the business from Tata?
Muthu, you want to answer that?
See, when Tata has, they have their own capabilities for making axles, and their production capacity is there, and we develop a product for them unique to the application. For example, even though for the current volume they have a full capacity for one of the particular products like a front axle for the low floor bus, and for one of the RMC vehicles, we got the business signed up, and we may be supplying these axles by December of this month to that timeline. But one thing, those companies which have gotten axles by them, continuously we have to upgrade the product, we have to innovate the product and make sure that our product is very, very attractive for them in terms of performance, reliability or quality or in terms of cost. And that only can sustain the business because where they have their own manufacturing capabilities.
Got it. Thanks a lot. That's it from me.
Thank you, Mr. Yash. Before taking next question, participants are requested to press star and 1 to ask further questions. We have next in queue, Ms. Dhavni Shah from Valcor Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I have a few questions. Knowing the last 2 quarter steel prices, have we completely passed through this price hike or is there any lag?
Muthu or Ranga, you want to answer that?
Ranga, you can go ahead, Ranga.
Sorry, can you repeat the question, sorry?
Yeah, so knowing the last 2 quarter steel prices, have we completely passed through this price hike or is there any lag?
No, I'm not able to hear you well. Your voice is very feeble.
Ranga, I think what she's asking is, let me take it. I think the question is clear. The commodity price hike, whatever has happened, actually normally we work, we have an arrangement with the customer that there's a 1 month lag happens, not more than that. But as of now, majority of the price hikes have been already passed on to the customer with a 1 month lag.
Okay. I have one more question. What is the capacity utilization as of now, and what is the current recovery from Q2 and the second half of the year expected?
So as of now, as earlier said, we are at around 40 to 50% capacity utilization. Because if you see the market, this year we are expecting the M&HCV market 7.5 ton and above to be around 240,000-250,000 level. And if you see that in the last quarter, the Q1, the market did around 43,000 units, which is not much. This quarter, we are expecting it to be at around 60,000 level. So which means there is going to be at least 15-20% improvement in market is going to happen. And I think we will also probably do better than that for this quarter.
Okay. Also, are you seeing any deterioration in your exports considering the semiconductor shortage?
No, I don't think our export, we are not impacted because of this semiconductor.
Okay. Also, one more question. How do you see yourself gaining further market share in Ashok Leyland?
Muthu, you want to answer that?
Thank you, Timaya. Normally we don't publish our market share, but however, if you see, you normally ask with the customer with Ashok Leyland when they launch their avatar, particularly in BS6 model, 100% of the vehicles we have presented from the earlier of 70% of our presence in Ashok Leyland. So I can tell information like this, and if you are seeing this last 1 year, even during this pandemic time, when Timaya talked about the volume of the commercial vehicle market, we have grown more than the market in terms of the share. I think these are the two indications. I'm sure that you will be able to capture how much our market share and how we are penetrating into the customer. And Timaya also spoke into one of the earlier question about what are the new launches that we are doing. For example, your company has launched a product which is one of the biggest axles in the Indian market, and it has been launched with one of the OEMs and is running successfully. So every area where there is an opportunity by innovation of the product or by penetrating into the new vehicle, new segment, and new end user application, we are penetrating into the customer.
Okay. And similarly, how are we planning to enter the light commercial vehicle and small commercial vehicle market?
Muthu?
We are already presenting in light commercial vehicles with currently in Ashok Leyland, earlier Nissan Ventures, and also with a couple of models in Mahindra. Currently, we have gone in up to the 6-ton vehicles and 4-ton vehicles we are working on. But rest of it going down, while we are evaluating the feasibility for the long term, at this point in time, we are making axles up to 4 tons and supplying them.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Shah. For any further questions, participants are requested to press star and 1 on their phone now. We have a question from Mr. Sailesh Raja. Please go ahead. We have a question from Mr. Sailesh Raja. Please go ahead. Mr. Raja, please unmute your line.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. We had received closer to 100+ crores worth of orders from Volvo Thailand. Has the execution completely over? Have we received incremental orders from Volvo, sir?
No, the Volvo Thailand is an ongoing order. Every month we are shipping. It is going to, we have been shipping on this on a monthly basis. There is an order board, and it is going to continue to ship in many years come. We have recently, signed an agreement with them to extend the contract till 2027.
Oh, okay, sir. So also in the overseas market, have we added any new customers, or we are in negotiations with any of the non-Meritor group companies which you are expecting to get added in next 3 to 6 months?
No, we have not added any non-Meritor in last 1 year. But the discussion I can't disclose at this point of time.
Okay, sir. So in FY21, MHCV mixes 100% of our revenue. With your recent entry into LCV, ICV, and bus segment, how the mix between MHCV and LCV will be in next 2 to 3 years?
No, we don't give the segment-wise our revenue actually.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So one more question. So currently our quarterly employee cost, we have been maintaining 25 crores for the last 3 quarters. with expanded capacity, we can do quarterly revenue of 550 to 600 crores. So to reach peak revenue of 550, 600 crores, how much employee cost will get added to this 25 crores?
You want to answer that?
Yeah. As far as the employee costs are concerned, except the inflationary impact and maybe the adding some new complexities, there may be a very marginal increase. But as far as the employee cost and employee strength is concerned, more or less equipped to take the upbeat in the market, even if it goes up to 18, 19 levels. So there might be marginal increase, but it may not be substantially high because the same team will handle that peak also. So the one element which probably we employ the contract level, that might be variable to the business size.
Okay, great, sir. And also our capex is also expected to be very minimal for next 2 to 3 years. What is our capital allocation plan, sir?
No, I think
it won't be very material. It won't be very material, Sailesh. Basically, what we generally the investments in year on year would be like mostly to cater the needs of the new product development and also sustenance capital. As far as the capacity is concerned, the maximum investment is already been done and completed.
So any plans in increasing the dividend payout policy, sir? Like our parent company.
What is that?
So like our parent company, any plans to increase the dividend payout?
We have a standard method of dividend distribution. So that will continue based on the profitability and the revenues.
Okay. So one last question. So recently the ZF fully exited the Brakes India, and with no MNC technology tie-up, will this benefit Automotive Axles in getting more business in the long run?
No, our endeavor is to, as you probably know, there are only two of us, we and Brakes India, in the foundation brake for M&HCV. We are continuing to work to improve our market share in the market. Whether ZF was there or not there, I think Brakes India is also a good company. They're well equipped. But our endeavor is to ensure that we continue to expand the margin, and we are quite successful in that, I could say.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Raja. Sir, there are no further questions. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Sailesh Raja for closing comments.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thanks for your time. Any closing comments would you like to make, sir? Timya, sir?
No, I think one information, as you know, last 1-2 year probably is a very, very difficult time for the entire, of course, for the entire nation and the world, but mainly from the commercial vehicle OEM and Tier 1 companies, it's a very, very difficult time. We are going through that even now, but I'm very happy that we are able to sail through those very tough times, and we are looking forward that the market will open up and then we will reap the benefit of all the good work we have been doing since last few years. Thank you very much. Thanks for your patience and time.
Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your conference call for today. We thank you for your participation and for using iJunction Conference Service. You may now disconnect your lines and have a great day ahead. Thank you.